Don't hit that sell button just yet. I'm serious. Hold off for just a moment, because there is a crazy sounding number that's floating around. XRP at $10 by April. Now, I almost didn't believe it myself. April 2026 is just 5 months away, and some are whispering that we could see XRP rocket up to double digits by then. Now, I'm usually the guy that's preaching caution, but this caught my attention big time. And it all started when I was this close to cashing out some XRP profits. Now, let me set the scene here. XRP had just popped over $2.20. My portfolio was looking greener than a summer lawn, only really because I've been accumulating XRP since early 2020. And I had that itch, you know the one, right? To take some money off of the table. I mean, after all, who doesn't love locking in a bit of a win? But here is the twist. Right as I was weighing the pros and the cons of selling, I stumbled on an analyst's bold prediction. Meme Whale, yes, that is the name that he goes by, claiming that XRP could possibly hit $5 really soon, and possibly $10 not long after that. Yeah, $10 XRP in just a few months. It sounded a bit like hopium at first, right? I mean, come on, that's more than a 350% jump from where we are now. It almost felt too good to be true. And I'm not one to fall for tall tales easily. So my skeptical brain kicked in hyperdrive. I thought, okay, alright, let's navigate this. Is this just another hype cycle, or does this $10 prediction actually have any meat on it? Because if there's even a chance that it is legit, selling now could be the dumbest thing that I do all year long. So down the rabbit hole I went, digging through charts, old price data, community chatter, you name it. What I found started shifting my perspective. It turns out that XRP has a history of explosive moves, one that make 129% or even 359% gains in a few months look, well, not that insane. Okay, so flash back with me for just a minute. It's early 2021, right? The cheeky crypto YouTube channel is relatively fresh. XRP was chilling around 44 cents in mid-March, and the whole crypto market was buzzing. Bitcoin was hitting new highs, but XRP, it was lagging, partly thanks to that infamous SEC lawsuit hanging over Ripple's head. Many people had written it off. I mean, I remember creating videos on the Cheeky Crypto YouTube channel back in the day saying that I was doubling down and buying during that huge crash that we saw. I remember a lot of the uncertainty so vividly that it felt like XRP was the underdog that no one wanted to bet on except for me. Then April 2021 rolls around and bam, XRP shot up to about $1.96 in just 5 weeks. It went from $0.50 to nearly $2. Now that's roughly a 346% increase, all while under the cloud of a lawsuit. Now I kid you not, one day it was like XRP suddenly remembered that it had somewhere to actually be and then just sprinted there. So if you blinked, you might have actually missed it, missed that rally. And if you weren't watching the Cheeky Crypto YouTube channel back then you probably did miss it. And yes, I had friends who had sold at $1 because they thought that would be probably it, only to watch it double again. Talk about seller's remorse. Fast forward to late 2024, just about a year ago. Now, the scenario was totally different. By November 2024, the SEC drama was mostly resolved in XRP's favor. The whole crypto market caught a second wind. There was also this wild card event, the US election. Now, if you've been a subscriber of this channel, Cheeky Crypto, when, we were talking about how important the US election was, then you probably would have positioned yourself favorably. Because when the results hinted at a win for the crypto-friendly candidate, well, believe it or not, Trump's victory was seen as bullish for crypto for the obvious reasons, at least obvious to the CC community here. Now, we have witnessed a market shockwave here, and XRP was front and center in that boom. I remember waking up in mid-January 2025, checking my phone and doing a double take. XRP was around $3.40. Just 2 months prior, in November, it had been kind of around that 50-cent area, right? Right in my cheeky Nick's accumulation zone, if you will. Now, that is a 580% explosion in roughly just 3 months. Insane, right? It kind of felt like 2017 all over again for just a minute, right? Now that rally, it captured XRP and it pushed it to the third largest crypto by market cap at the time. It was like XRP was saying, did you miss me? So here we are in late 2025. XRP has had a solid push most recently. Around November 23rd to 24th, it had pumped by 13% in a day, breaking past that $2.20 mark, that it had been acting as a bit of a ceiling. Now, I watched it hit around $2.28, and it felt like a rush of excitement all over again. Now, those moments that every XRP holder kind of lives for, even if they were short-lived. I mean, of course, right, the crypto being crypto, we did hit a roadblock, right? $2.28 turned out to be a pretty stubborn resistance. The price started seesawing around, and over the past few days, it has been stuck back into consolidation mode. So by the time that we're actually speaking to you guys, this is December now, XRP has slipped a hair under $2.20 again, hovering around the $2 and some change, more or less anyway. And I know what some of you guys are thinking, because I feel it too. Uh-oh, here we go again. The rally is over. That fear that we might actually be sliding back down is real. And yes, people are out there, chart analysts are saying no, not this time, right? One analyst that I follow goes by Charting Guy. He keeps stressing that XRP is not in a bearish trend right now, despite the most recent pullback. Now, I talk about a lot of this in our Cheeky Crypto Discord. By the way, I'm talking about the Discord, I'm talking about Cheeky Crypto's YouTube channel, the Cheeky Crypto community, a lot in these videos recently. And that is because there's a lot of AI fakes that are basically just downloading our videos and then passing it to an AI avatar. So if you're watching a channel that is not Cheeky Crypto News, Cheeky Crypto Education, Cheeky Crypto Unfiltered, or Cheeky Crypto Trading, then unfortunately you're probably watching stolen content. So think about that, and maybe even think about reporting it. Joining the Cheeky Crypto Discord, reporting it to us, will help us kind of get rid of a lot of these AI fakes. Anyway, I'm saying that we're not in a bearish pullback, right? And Charting Guy thinks that this is just another breather before, we keep going, a pit stop before the next leg up eventually, right? And honestly, if XRP has proven anything over the years, it's that it often takes these little naps before a big sprint. Volatility is practically in its DNA. So, for context here, Meme Whale's prediction started sounding a little bit less far-fetched. I mean, he has pegged $5 as the first target and $10 as a stretch goal by April 2026. Now, for XRP to reach $5 from $2 and some change, it's going to be about a 130% increase. To hit $10, it's going to be roughly a 360% climb. So after seeing 346% and 580% runs in the past, in much shorter timeframes, mind you, suddenly 130 to 360 over 5 months doesn't feel like a pipe dream. It's ambitious, yes, guaranteed, absolutely not, and let's be really clear about that. But within the realm of possibility, I would say possibly. Now, before everyone in the Cheeky Crypto community starts envisioning our portfolios quadrupling, let's sprinkle in some words of caution, because nothing in crypto is ever a sure thing, right? Predictions are not promises, right? We've got to stay level-headed. In fact, not everyone is singing the same rosy tunes for XRP, right? For balance, I came across another take, a pretty pessimistic one at that, forecasting that XRP could actually dip to $1 or even lower in 2026 if certain things go south. So just imagine that then, $1, not $10. It was kind of the Motley Fool piece, if you will. I believe basically pouring cold water on the hype, right? Now, when I read that, my heart sank for just a second. Like, what if they are right? And all of this bullish talk is just setting us up for disappointment. That thought is exactly why I kept my eyes open on all sides. It's something that I say a lot in the cheeky crypto community, is that it's easy to get tunnel vision and to only see the bullish case, which is why it's really important to make sure that you encapsulate yourself with a community like the cheeky crypto community that actually challenges those bullish cases to see if there is any substance behind them. Now, when it comes to crypto and XRP in these bullish cases, especially when you want it to happen so badly, you kind of do end up with that tunnel vision or echo chambers. But crypto, it has humbled me enough times that I know better now. Now, this might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this cheeky crypto video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I or any of the cheeky crypto YouTube channels or YouTube themselves are liable for any losses, and this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Okay, so with that important note out of the way, let's get back to the juicy part of the video. Right? The reasons that some people think that we could actually see $5 to $10 in the future. Now, one big factor is that history tends to rhyme within the crypto space. Now, we don't always get the exact repeats, right? But patterns, they do emerge. I mean, look at those past surges that we've just spoken about, right? They usually weren't random. They were catalysts, right? In 2021, even with the bad news swirling, like the SEC lawsuit, the broader bull market pulled XRP up like a rising tide lifting all boats. In late 2024, we had multiple green lights. Favorable legal clarity for XRP, a pro-crypto political climate kicking in the United States, and even early talks of ETFs for XRP. Speaking of ETFs, this is actually huge and happening right now. Just days ago, something monumental quietly took place. Several XRP exchange-traded funds launched. That is right, XRP now has its own ETFs trading in the United States, which means big institutions and everyday investors can buy into XRP without messing around on crypto exchanges. It's good to see that the United States has finally caught up with other jurisdictions like Canada, UK, Europe, and so forth, right? Now, on the launch of these ETFs, it saw around $130 million in inflows in just their first day. That was $130 million worth of XRP effectively taken off of the market and tucked into custodial wallets. Picture a giant vacuum cleaner then sucking up XRP tokens. That means less supply is available for the rest of us. And you know the classic supply-demand story. When supply shrinks and demand stays the same or even rises, prices, they tend to climb. There's even some number crunching that's going on out there that's staggering if you look at it. There's a few people that say that if a few $1 billion flow into XRP via these ETFs over the coming months, well, we could see price levels of $5 or $6 just from that pressure alone. Some analysts are throwing out scenarios like if $5 billion comes in, then maybe $6 XRP. If $50 billion come in, then our dreams, of course, then XRP could potentially hit well into the double digits. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to be a given or that it will happen overnight, but the infrastructure is being built for serious money to enter the chat. Now, this isn't 2017 when XRP's fate was purely in the hands of retail investor FOMO. No, now Wall Street is literally knocking on the door with these ETFs. Another piece of the puzzle, technical patterns. For those of you into chart analysis, there's a lot of talk of a bullish flag formation. Essentially, after XRP spiked to around that $2.28 that I spoke about, and then pulled back to the low $2 ranges, well, the price action has been coiling up like a spring. Some chart gurus say that a price break above the roughly $2.35 to $2.45 could be a trigger for the next big leg up. It's a bit like a rubber band. The longer that it is stretched and held, the more forceful the snap when it eventually releases. Now, whether or not you kind of put stock in technical analysis or not is hard to ignore when multiple analysts converge on the same kind of idea. A lot of eyes are watching that mid $2 range as a key breakout zone. So if we can punch through it, it could be game on. Conversely though, if we do slip under, let's say $2 with a solid close, well, that's kind of like one prediction suggested, $1.95, before a rebound. And that might shake out some of the weaker hands before a bigger climb. It's a classic fake out scenario, scare people out and then run it up without them. Let's also consider the broader crypto environment too. XRP hitting $10 would mean market cap goes absolutely huge. But context does matter too, because if Bitcoin and Ethereum continued their upward trajectories into 2026, a rising tide could lift XRP as well. There's also chatter of Bitcoin potentially approaching six figures again in that timeframe too, and Ethereum could push to new heights. Now, in the full-blown bullish market, big percentage moves can't become more feasible for altcoins like XRP. And fundamentally, XRP isn't the same beast that it was 5 years ago. Ripple, the company, has been busy forging partnerships with banks, payment providers, and expanding the use of XRP for cross-border transfers. The legal uncertainty over XRP, remember the SEC lawsuit saga, has cleared up, which means that more US investors and institutions are comfortable with it, hence now we can see all those ETFs. Some speculate that Ripple might even pursue an IPO or announce new major adoption deals. So news like that could be rocket fuel for XRP's price. Not to mention the whole market or approach of asset tokenization, real-world asset tokenizations, RWAs if you will, because that trend is where XRP could play a pretty significant role. Even a slice of the $150 trillion SWIFT volume starts moving through XRP if its network by kind of 2030, as Ripple has boldly hinted at, then the long-term upside could be absolutely enormous. There's also more of a long-term vision here, but it adds to the narrative of why people are so bullish on XRP, and something that we've spoken a lot about in the Cheeky Crypto Discord. Now, while I'm also on my deep dive here, I also checked out another prominent XRP watchers and what they are saying. You've got Dark Defender, a well-known technical analyst, has been mapping out XRP's journey so far. Now, a few months back, he highlighted a pattern, an ABCDE wave structure. Now, that is for those kind of people who don't understand Elliott wave, but basically an ABCDE structure is something that can only happen inside what they would call an Elliott wave triangle. And those triangles can only appear in a couple of spots, right? So you only tend to find these in wave Bs or wave 4s, just if you're interested. For more details, you can check out the Cheeky Crypto Discord. We have a lot of information around Elliott wave. It is what I master in, if you will. Anyway, that particular ABCDE structure from Dark Defender, we'll just call it an Elliott wave triangle because that's what it is, they actually pointed out to around $5 as a target. Now, at the time, that seemed pretty far-fetched, but here we are already flirting with half of that number. Then you've got Crypto another analyst, predicting not that long ago that XRP could dip to roughly $1.95, close to what we've seen in this most recent pullback, or maybe we even hit it by the time this video goes live. And then a slingshot all the way up to $10. Now that idea is kind of like the spring that's loading. Shake out the last little bit of doubt and then zoom upwards. Seeing multiple independent predictions cluster in that $5 to $10 range definitely grabbed my attention. Right? This is also really interesting is because I do a lot of Elliott wave trading within the Cheeky Crypto Discord, of course, and if you're interested in the course on Elliott wave, I do have a course over at thecheekyschool.com. But it's interesting because even my own analysis points towards $5 being a key area for XRP's price chart. So even with these other independent predictions, my own predictions are also right aligned to these guys, and we all have very different approaches to the market. Now, it's kind of like when different weather models predict the very same path for a storm. You kind of take a bit of notice. So they could be all wrong for sure. I could also be wrong. I'm willing to admit it. But it's also very intriguing that they are all seeing very similar signals, but approaching the market very differently. By this point, you can probably tell I decided not to sell my XRP stash, at least not yet. The potential reward of riding this out till April actually outweighs the risk of missing the boat entirely. Now, for me personally, could I end up wrong and watch the price drop instead? it's absolutely, and that is the risk that I am accepting. But after looking at all of the evidence, I'm actually comfortable waiting just a bit longer. It's a bit like standing at a crossroads with two paths. One is a shortcut to a smaller prize, selling now for known profit. The other is a longer road that might lead to a treasure, holding out for the big spike. And I'm choosing the longer road this time around, but I'm walking it with my eyes wide open, fully aware that it might be a bit of a bumpy ride. And here's a quick note if you're holding XRP or any other cryptocurrency for the longer term. Make sure that you protect those assets. I mean, come on, who remembers Mt. Gox? Or more recently, the FTX collapse, right? Basically, everyone who had funds on FTX got absolutely wrecked. And I know that FTX have rebranded, they're coming back stronger than ever, right? Is an exchange, FTX is an exchange, just do not go near it, right? Do not trust any of these FTX team members and all of that kind of stuff. They basically wrecked everybody who was on that exchange. So the point is that exchanges can fail. They can get hacked, who remembers Bybit, or even freeze withdrawals. It's rare, I know, but it does happen. I always say, not your keys, not your coins. Personally, I use a Ledger hardware wallet. In fact, I actually have 4 of these Ledger Staxes, as you can see right here. Why 4? Well, that's just a part of my strategy. I have ice cold hardware wallets. I have cold wallets. I have kind of semi-cold wallets. And basically, I use them in very specific ways to protect my assets. Now, I use a Ledger hardware wallet. I use these Ledger hardware wallets to store the majority of my crypto safely offline. So if you do not have a hardware wallet just yet, it might be time to actually consider it, especially if you're expecting your XRP to surge in value. Now, there's a link that's on the Cheeky Crypto website, which I've linked in the description down below, and it goes straight to the Ledger's official store. Now, if you do decide to pick one up, then please buy directly from the manufacturer. Don't risk any of those shady third-party sellers, places like eBay on Amazon, because unfortunately, there are some counterfeit devices that are a real threat to your crypto. We've seen a lot of horror stories of people looking to save $10 by buying something off of eBay, and actually what they buy is a counterfeit product, and they actually are sending their crypto, instead of to the Ledger hardware wallet like they think, they're sending it directly to a scammer. Now, the link that I've provided on my website, the Cheeky Crypto website that's linked in the description, that is an affiliate link, which does mean that if you use it, it supports the channel here, but it doesn't cost you anything extra. But what it does do is it sends you directly to the official website for Ledger, the official store. So if you use that link, you know that you're not going to be falling victim to, unfortunately, one of these counterfeit devices. The bottom line is this though, whether you use my link or not, just make sure that you're keeping your crypto safe, okay? Another pro tip that I've learned through these roller coaster of years is to always have a plan for the exchanges, right? When the market gets hot, exchanges can get overwhelmed or even go down temporarily. Now, it's the worst feeling when you're trying to sell into a pump or buy a juicy little dip and your exchange app just freezes up. Now, I've made it a personal strategy to sign up, get verified, KYC, all of that, and test out as many reputable exchanges as I reasonably can. Now, think of this as like having plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, the entire alphabet soup, if you will, so that if Exchange A has a meltdown or gets hacked or does an FTX and just rug pulls all of the investors at the wrong time, well, I can hop over to Exchange B without missing a beat. It costs nothing to open up an account and do a small test trade to ensure that things work as expected. Now, all of my recommended exchanges, the ones that I've vetted and used personally, they're listed on my website, which is also linked in the description below. You'll find that link to the Cheeky Crypto website there. And on the website, you'll find all of the affiliate links for all of the exchanges that I do personally use. And yes, those are affiliate links, which means that if you do sign up with those exchanges through those links, it supports the channel here at no extra cost to you. But of course, it is completely up to you guys. Now, on that note, I've actually partnered up with Kraken right now on a very special promo that could be interesting to you XRP guys. Now, here is the deal. If you sign up to Kraken using my link that's in the description and you trade at least $100 worth of any cryptocurrency, excluding stablecoins, within 30 days of opening the account, Kraken will reward you with $25 worth of XRP. Yes, that is free XRP for just doing something that you might have done anyway. That's not too shabby, right? It's a limited time offer though, so if you are looking to expand your exchange options or just want that bonus XRP, you can check out the details that are linked in the description below or even on the website, the cheeky crypto website that is. Now, as always though, this is through an affiliate link which supports the channel here, doesn't cost you anything extra, and by the way, getting set up on Kraken now isn't just about the promotion either, it's about being prepared. If XRP starts going wild in March or April, and one platform is overloaded, you're going to be glad that you have another exchange ready to go. All right, let's zoom out for a second here, because we started with some pretty burning question, right? Can XRP really hit $10 by April 2026? And the honest answer is that we don't really know just yet. But we've laid out the case of why it's not as crazy as it might sound. Historical precedents show that XRP can blast off when you least expect it. Now, the current landscape with the new ETFs, more institutional interest, and improved sentiment across the kind of post-SEC case, it is creating conditions that could support a much bigger run. Now, technicals are hinting at a breakout, and several veteran analysts are independently seeing that those numbers, those big numbers, are on the horizon. If XRP even gets halfway to that $10 target, let's say $5, that would already be a pretty massive win for a lot of holders. And if it does push to that $10 range, well, that could be life-changing for many people. Now, to put it into perspective here, roughly 734,000 wallets, which makes up around the top 10% of all XRP holders, each have around 2,313 XRP. Now, at current prices, that's around $5,000 worth of investment, worth of XRP per such wallet, right? So if XRP hits $10, each of those would be holding $23,000 of XRP. Now that's an $18,000 gain for each of them, minimum, and we're talking hundreds of thousands of holders. It's pretty crazy, right? So it would be a pretty huge validation for the XRP community, the kind of thing that makes headlines and probably mint a fair few new millionaires along the way. And let's be honest, a lot of very happy people finally buying that celebratory round of drinks. I can already picture the euphoria, crypto Twitter exploding with memes, the term XRP army trending everywhere, maybe even some mainstream news coverage about the little crypto that could. After years of being called delusional or overly optimistic, XRP holders would finally actually get their moment of, I told you so. And yeah, I'll admit, I'm going to be grinning ear to ear too, maybe even doing a little happy dance in my living room. But even if that scenario doesn't play out, I'm okay with my decision, right? This exercise has reinforced why I got into XRP in the first place, the potential for big moves and being part of a community that actually sees the bigger picture. Shout out to the cheeky crypto community, by the way. Now I've got my plan set, whether it soars or dips, and that's something that every investor needs, right? It needs a plan, and you need discipline to stick to it. So, what's your plan? Are you holding out for that big $10 milestone? Are you planning to take some profits sooner? There's no one-size-fits-all answer here, by the way. It comes down to your own risk tolerances and your belief in XRP's future. Whether you decide, make sure that it's a decision that you can actually live with and that lets you sleep at night soundly. For me, the thrill of the potential upside is worth the ride here. So if you have found this video helpful, then you can do me a favor by hitting the like button and the subscribe button and to stay updated. I'll catch you all in the next one.